Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Jackie, and today I am making a video about the questions you should ask when changing shifts. So, of course, as a secretary in a hospital, there's always change of shift. So you have the day shift going on to night shift going to day shift. And one of the things that we do is we give report during change of shift. We give report, and the reason why we give report is to facilitate the continuation of care of the patient. So, day shift has been dealing with the patient all day. They give report to the night shift so they can continue the care of the patient. So these are just some of the questions that I ask when getting report and as well as giving report. So I'm just going to do how I like to receive report, and then I'm going to give you some of the things that I do to get ready to give report at the end of the shift. So when I first get there, especially working on the ICU, one of the things that I will always notice, I would just notice the unit, and there was a crash cart that, because we had two crash carts, there was a crash cart that was near me. So when we would come in, like we put our stuff down in the break room, and then we would go to the nurse's station, like onto the unit, and there was a crash cart like literally right there. And if I came in and I saw that crash cart wasn't there, I would ask the secretary, the night shift secretary, what was going on. And the reason why I would ask what was going on, because I know that crash cart is in one of those rooms, right? So I know that something is going on. Now, if let's say the crash cart is in room 7, we're going to use number 7. Crash cart is in room 7. If the patient started going bad at midnight, okay, and here it is 7 o'clock in the morning, is this, so I know if they went bad at midnight and it's 7 o'clock in the morning now, we're on the tail end of it. You understand? We're at the end of whatever happened, because like 7 hours. Okay, I will hope we at the end of this, right? But if the patient just started going bad 30 minutes ago, like let's say they didn't crash yet, but the heart rate and stuff is going on, that means I'm gonna have to deal with it. See, if it started at midnight and now it's 7 o'clock, the night shift secretary had to deal with it. But if it just started 30 minutes ago at 6:30 and it's 7 o'clock and I'm coming in, I'm gonna have to deal with it. So that's why I want to know what's going on. Another thing is I would ask who's been on the call light all night, who's been on the phone all night. Like, you know, every day you got a patient that's always on the call light, and they could be on the call light for a lot of reasons. They could be literally in pain. Like if you work on the ortho floor, you have patients, they got broken leg, they got broken arm, they can't really do too much for themselves. You have patients who they on their call light. Soon as it come time due for them to get their Dilaudid or their Percocet or they whatever, they on that light. And then you have like a lot of elderly who are lonely, don't want to be in a room by themselves, and so they're on the call light a lot. So you have that. So depending on if they've been on the light all night, they, hopefully they'll be asleep for a little while so you can get situated. But sometimes they ain't. They ain't gonna sleep. They gonna be right on that call. Like as soon as you get there, they on that call like 7 o'clock, and you gonna have to be all day hitting that button talking about hi man help you. Okay, so it's good to know what room has been on that call light all night, right? And then another thing, I always want to know what patients are having procedures or going for surgery, things like that, because it once you've been a secretary for a while, you'll learn if they go for an X-ray, more than likely they're gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? But if they go down for surgery, depending on the surgery, they may not come back, or they may be gone all day. You know what I'm saying? Like when we had patients open heart surgery, but they will already be prepped and half the time already gone by the time we would get there, or they'd be rolling to the OR. But for the most part, they were already gone because I think they started prepping them at like 5:30. And so our first open heart didn't come back until about 11, 12. Yeah, I think they came back about 11. And then they would do the second one. And they would start the second one after lunch. And then that one came back later. But yeah, so depending on the procedure, they're gonna come back to the floor, or they're gonna be transferred to another unit, or how long they'll be gone off the floor. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if the doctor comes looking for them, oh, so and so went down to have a procedure, and went to have an X-ray. Okay, so the doctor know. Okay, you know what? And I'll be like, oh, they just left about 30 minutes ago, or they've been gone all day. They should be coming back, or the nurse just got report, things like that. But if you already know that, because you're going to learn the doctors as well. You're going to learn the doctors that come in early in the morning. You're going to learn the doctors that come in around 8 or 9, the doctors that come in during lunch, the doctors that come in at 3, the doctors that come in at 5. You're going to learn all that. So once you, knowing the patients that are going to have procedures, once you get that report, like if it's already known, because usually it's known, the OR and all these, they always schedule the appointments. You know what I'm saying? So by the time you get there, you and usually they have a list also, but it's good to have that list, but also good to get that report. Okay, and it's just so you can get your day situated. A lot of this assists in controlling your day, because if you don't get a good report, your day is going to be all over the place because you don't know what's going on. Another thing is the discharges. I want to know who could possibly be discharged. Sometimes there are already orders in there to discharge somebody. So like let's say a patient has a specialist on the case. So like let's say it's cardiology. The cardiologist will write the order that the patient could be discharged, like from their standpoint. But then we're waiting on the hospitalist to do the final discharge. So if all the specialists have signed off, and now we're just waiting on the hospitalist, more than likely they're gonna be discharged. So how many rooms you gonna have discharged? If you have 40 rooms, right, and you have 10 possible discharges, and then you also have doctors that write, discharge in the morning, or discharge after lunch, or discharge. So there may be orders already in there. So you could be waiting for the specialist could have signed off. You just waiting on the hospitalist, or there could already be orders in there. Discharge in the morning, discharge after lunch, discharge. You know what I'm saying? So you will have that. But if you have, but let me get back to my point. I interrupted myself. If you have 40 rooms and you have 12 possible, 12 discharges or possible discharges, you about to have you a busy day, right? Because you're gonna have all these rooms open. You gonna have all these empty rooms, and then if the patients go down for a procedure and they're not coming back, like so they go down for OR, but they're not gonna come back to your floor. That's another room that's going to be empty. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they're not coming back. And then, of course, you have to have the CNAs take, or whoever take the stuff to the new room once they get in the room. But that'll be later. So now you went from 40 rooms full to 12 discharges, possible discharges, plus transfers that are not coming back. So now you have 15 rooms, right? You got to have 15 empty rooms. Do you understand what that means? Okay. Do you understand what that means? So you can assist by knowing that information. You can assist housekeeping, because it doesn't make sense for housekeeping to clean room 12. If room 12 is going to have a procedure and they're more than likely they're not coming back, it doesn't make sense for housekeeping to clean that room, and then the patient goes down, had a procedure, and then the patient doesn't come back, because then the housekeeper's gonna have to re-clean that room. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't make the bed because the patient was in the bed. So they cleaned the room. The patient was in the room, and then the patient left, had the procedure, and all their stuff is in the room and everything. And then now they're not coming back, so they're gonna have to re-clean that room. It doesn't make sense for housekeeping to do that. So you can assist housekeeping depending on what kind of relationship you have with housekeeping. Um, they'll ask you, hey, do you know how many people are being discharged today? And then you go, room 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 21, 22, 23 are all being discharged today. And then so and so is going down for surgery. and they may or may not come back. You know what I'm saying? So that housekeeping would know, because it don't make no sense for them to clean the room twice. You understand? So they'll just skip those rooms because they know they're gonna leave anyway, and I'll just clean them and make the bed and all that stuff once they're gone. And that way it'll be ready for the new patient. So that's why I always want to know who's being discharged. And then of course you can see that yourself when you check the orders. Because one of the first things I do is always sit down and go through the computer and look through the orders. And then another thing always you will want to know about is the family dynamics. You have family dynamics, okay? You got mama in the hospital, this sister, this daughter, and that daughter don't get along. They've been like this since they was little. They got all this drama. They don't care who they bring into it. They tell all their business stuff. I don't need to know all this, and it's just all they just doing. They just team too much. But you do have that, right? You have people. I don't know. It just be a lot going on in these families, and they want to get people on their side, and so they will bring it to the hospital. And one thing that I think a lot of healthcare workers don't care about is your family dynamics. Okay, like we are all on one accord when it comes to we don't care about your family dynamics. Okay, look, there are legal. All we care about is what's legal. Who's the power of attorney? Who is like? Do you have a will? Do you have like we want to know all that stuff. Who is your? Who can we talk to if we need permission to talk to somebody, right? That's all hospitals care about. They don't care about your family. They don't care about the family dynamics. They don't care. They want to know if something happens, who do we call? Who do we get permission from? That's all they care about. They don't care about all this extra. And that's one thing. If you know, as much as we might not like our coworkers, and we get into it and this and that, all this stuff that go on in the hospital. One thing we are on accord about is we don't care about your family. We don't care about y'all extra outside stuff that ain't got nothing to do with us. Do you understand? Um, Always me. Now this is not something I ask. This is something I do. Okay. One of the things I do is I'm nosy. Yes, I am, and I like to know what's going on everywhere. And I would look in the ER and see how many patients are in the ER, right? And like I don't care what your name is. I don't care what had happened was. I don't care about none of that. I want to know how many patients are in the ER and how many patients could possibly come to us. So they will have like the patient's name, and they will have like the reason why they were there, like diagnosis. And if I'm in the ICU, right, and I look in the ER and I see that Sally Sue is in ER for chest pain. Okay, Sally Sue could possibly come to us. You know what I'm saying? And I look down the list and I see John Doe. John Doe, history of whatever, history of cancer. Okay, well, John Doe, not really. But if I see the diagnosis that will be mainly a reason why a person will come to us, I'm like, okay, we got like 5 possible patients that can come to us. You know what I'm saying? And so I always keep that in the back of my head, right? Because I know that when change of shift comes, okay, I know by 4 o'clock they're gonna start calling. ER is gonna start calling to get a report. They're gonna need a bed, and I already knew all this, right? So I know, okay, we have 40 patients. We got 15 leaving. We had 3 that didn't come back, so that's 18. We got all these, and we got 5 possible that can come to us from ER. Of course, that's just ER. We can talk about the patients that can be transferred from another unit. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what unit you work on, you got patients that can be transferred to your unit, things like that. That's when you start getting prepared to give report. So what I like to do is focus on that. Focus on what's going on in the ER, because by the time 4 o'clock hits, it's like we had a quiet time. I don't know if other hospitals have a quiet time, but between 3 and 5 is quiet time. And you will have patients being discharged, the ones that are leaving. but you wouldn't really have too many transfers. It was like a quiet time. And like you might have patients come back and stuff like that. And of course, patients coming back from the procedures and them passing out dinner trays. But for the most part, it was quiet, you know, as quiet as could be. But yeah, as soon as 5 o'clock hit, oh, it's on, okay. And they're gonna start calling for beds, ER, and then this is the transition to preparing to get report. So I will look at how many patients are gone. Of course, you keep that, you keep record in the ADT book. The ADT book stands for, the ADT stands for admissions, discharge, transfers. You just write down who left and who came and what time and all that stuff. And just keep track of that. How many empty beds you're going to have. And this is stuff you're going to get to night shift. How many empty rooms you got. Because ER is full, right? One thing about night shift is night shift gets there early, because they got to fight all that traffic at 5 o'clock to get there on time. So they usually get there early, right? So what I always do is I will let them know we got how many empty beds and how many are coming from ER. Because one thing ER is going to do is they are going to send all the patients at the change of shift. That's what they do. Okay, I don't know why, but that's what they do. And they ain't nobody gonna be happy. They ain't supposed to, but ain't nobody gonna be happy till something happen. And so, of course, I would do some of the admissions from ER. I ain't doing all of them though, unless because if it's 6:50 and I already had 3 come up from ER, I'm gonna do those 3. But them other 2 that ain't there yet, okay, night shift, you gonna handle this, girl. Okay, here you go, girl. Because I had 15, 16, 17, 18 discharges, so you gonna handle this, okay. But that's pretty much all. I would just let them know, hey, you got 2 coming up from ER. We had 5 admissions from ER. I already did 3. You got 2. Um, so and so came back. So and so is coming back up. No, no, no. Um, the one, like, let's say I had 3 admissions from ER and I did them. I ordered a tray for them because ER don't feed people, and they don't feed people down there. They give them sandwiches. They don't give them food. And so I'll be like, room 2 came from the ER. I already ordered a tray for them, so don't worry about it. Um, room 3 that just came, they're NPO and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I would give report on what happened throughout the day. Now I wouldn't tell them who all left. Or room 1 left, room 2 left, 3. Who cares? Okay, they gone. We care about who's coming, right? And especially who just came. So and so, like if room 10 came back from a procedure at 4 o'clock, don't nobody care about that. Okay, because that's done. They in their room, they settled, they ate, they good. Now I might tell them people who are leaving. So like let's say I got 18 discharges and most of them had left, but 3 of them still they haven't left yet. I will let them know that you still got 3 that still got to go. They being discharged. They ain't left yet, but they got report. I'm sorry, not report. They got their discharge papers. You know what I'm saying? Or they're waiting on a ride or something like that. But that's how you give report, and it's just it's you don't keep track of, you don't tell everything. You know what I'm saying? Now if something happened, like let's say room 20 was crashing, but they got them situated, but they still watching them because they still I will let them know that. So earlier room, they or we had to call a different places call them not necessarily a cold blue, but like a rapid response or something like that, or just something like that. We had to call that, but the patient never left. They didn't go to ICU. They just stayed here. You know what I'm saying? But they keeping an eye on them. You know what I'm saying? I would let them know that. Or if room 15 was combative, we had to call security. I would let them know that, even though that might have been early in the morning. I will still let night shift know that, because you know they be acting up. So yeah, I mean it's a lot of things I ask, and the reason why it's just to control your day. It's just try to have some kind of control of your day, just a little bit, because there's so much that goes on in hospitals, so much that goes on the units. Depending on what unit you work on, it's so much that goes on, and just getting a good report can allow you to have just a little bit of control of your day. And then, of course, giving a good report so that the night shift knows what's going on. It'll help them as well. And it just helps the unit flow better. And like I said, the whole point of giving a report is the continuation of care for the patient. So everybody's on the same page. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I can really think about. Those are the questions I care about. Like if a patient was crashing, if we had to call security on somebody, who was on the call light all night, who was on the phone, because sometimes people just lonely. And then who's having procedures, who's having surgeries, who's being discharged, who could possibly be discharged, any family issues, or how many patients in the ER. That's what I want to know. And I don't, like I said, I don't really write. I mean, I do write stuff down, but I write it down on my assignment sheet. So like so with the assignment sheet, because they have the nurse's name and then what rooms they had and maybe the patient's last name, I would have like just written on the side discharges and all the possible discharges. So I would write the ones who were being discharged, that like their order isn't there to discharge them. I will write the room number, and then the ones that could possibly be discharged, I will write the room number, and then I will put a question mark until that order was in there, and then I will scratch out the question mark, and then that way I know. And then the admissions, I will write it on there. I would have like a little thing, and it would just say admit, and then it would have the room number, so I would know. But that's pretty much how I kept track of everything. I was mainly concerned about the discharges, because it's gonna be a lot going on. It's gonna be a lot of nurses printing out discharge papers, and you breaking down charts and stuff. So yeah, it's good to know certain things. But like I said, with the discharges, you'll know because you're gonna check your orders anyway. But like the crashing, who was crashing, you don't know that. Somebody got to tell you that, unless you know that's not in the computer. And then a patient being on the call light all night, that's not in the computer. Somebody got to tell you that. So that's why I want to know. And then the family dynamics, somebody got to tell you that, because you wouldn't know. That's not in the computer. So that's why I asked the questions that I asked. All right. I hope that answered your question. If you have any more questions, you can put them down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.